Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, as always, for taking the time and spending it with us, okay, especially on a busy Thursday afternoon. So it is completely insane craziness here at the Levinson home office. We're getting prepared for the expo next week. In fact, we'll skip a week with our weekly training webinars. You won't hear from us next week. You'll hear from us the following week. But we are super excited. Can't wait until next Friday. We literally have about 300 RSVPs for next Friday's event, and we're capped at 300. So it's going to be an amazing day. I'm going to just take a educated guess and say we're going to max out the room and have a record number of attendees. So I hope you're in by now. Today's the last day to register. Actually, no, by tomorrow. You have until Friday tomorrow to register. But if we're filled up, obviously we're filled up. We'll have to put you on a waiting list. But anyway, make sure you get that RSVP in. We are going to send a thank you email to all attendees, and we'll include all of the Baltimore Life brochures, everything you need to get started contracting. We'll also include the RSVP Expo link in there in case you forgot or kind of waited till the last minute, and hopefully you get in before we are maxed out. Also, what I want to talk about too, let's shift gears here, right? We have a lot going on here, as you know. We have over 90 carriers, right? On the life and annuity side, we handle basically everything except variable and standalone health insurance. Okay, but everything that falls in between, we feel like we master each category, right? Life insurance, annuities, critical illness, DI. We have the best of the best, right? And I'll put our carriers and products up against anyone's. So it's not often that we add a carrier to our arsenal, so to speak. And what happened is we hired a new full time marketer on the life and annuity side. Who, if in fact, if you're at the expo, you'll get a chance to meet him. And long story short, he said to me, he's like, Bill, we really need Baltimore Life. I have a ton of agents and agencies that are using the carrier and their products and their tech, especially with the final expense whole life product selling over the phone, and no one has anything like it. So I was like, wow, we know Baltimore Life. In fact, Doug, who you're going to hear from in a minute, who runs distribution for the company, goes back over 30 years with Carrie, my father. Okay, they used to work together, and they know each other from a long time ago. And I also know one of the actually, I believe he's the CFO with Baltimore Life. So we had a great relationship, but we were not contracted as an IMO. So anyway, it's just funny how all the pieces came together. And I reached out to Doug and I have this other relationship there, and I said, you know what, we are ready to take out a direct IMO contract, and we want to roll out your platform to all of our agents. And we stacked up this carrier products against everything else that we have, and I can honestly say there's a fit here, right? Which isn't often because we feel like we have everything covered. So anyway, everything aligned, and here we are today launching Baltimore Life, and I couldn't be any more excited. Another great reason why, customer service, right? They are like that old school, right? Think of like the career shops, from the 80s and 90s, depending on how old you are, but from years and years ago, when the carriers jumped on the phone with the agent and you can talk to an underwriter and you can talk to someone in contracting, right? They still encourage that type of business. So we love to see that, right? Because most of the huge traditional brokerage companies steered away from that, right? In fact, number one, they want you to call us for everything, which is great, and we want to be involved every step of the way. But number two, if you have a question, right, for an underwriter on a $22,000 case, right? Think about this. You can't get someone on the phone. Obviously, Carrie can jump in and help you, but typically it's just the opposite of the way Baltimore Life runs their operation. Over 130 years old. So anyway, they have a great story to tell, and I'm glad everything aligned, and I'm glad we were able to put all the pieces together for the Levinson agents because they have some great stuff, some great niche platforms and products that you're going to love. A little something for everyone. But enough of my tooting Doug's horn here. Let's jump right in because we have a lot to talk about. We're going to get everybody out right before 4 p.m. Eastern time. We're also going to have our giveaway at the end. So make sure you are paying attention because I'm going to ask a question at the end. If you answer first and correctly, you win. I have a set of Apple AirPods and the new Fire HD8 tablet. Okay, but you have to answer first and correctly, and we'll announce your name at the end right before 4 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, let's move forward here. So we take this slide very serious here at Levinson because our agents, right, are our customers. And if you're not getting that great, in fact, we were just talking about this with Baltimore Life. If you're not getting that great customer service, that great support, then let's face it, you're going to go somewhere else, right? You're going to go to the next IMO, and there's thousands in the country, as we all know. So we have to be first class when it comes to customer service. And it's also important to know, especially when you're talking about senior market products, okay, there's a bunch of agencies, and I'm not going to name any names, where you are like 22 layers under the GA, who's under the GA4, who's under the MGA, who's under the IMO2, who's under the IMO like Levinson, and then they point to the carrier. So with us, in fact, with our contract with Baltimore Life and 99% of our contracts, we are the IMO. It's you, us, and the company. Okay. So customer service should be number one. When you need an answer, right, there's only one layer. It's us and you, and that's it. Everything should come back to you same day. Hopefully it's the answer you want to hear, right, depending on the situation, but we will do the best we can to help, okay? And if you ever needed a release for whatever reason, we put that in writing that we give it to you, as long as there's no debt or chargebacks, okay? So that's important stuff. But again, back to customer service, left-hand corner, top left-hand corner, Christy, who's one of our marketers here at Levinson. This was great to see. Christy has been extremely helpful and supportive to me in every possible manner. I have greatly appreciated her ongoing assistance to me in my efforts to help with my quotes for my clients. I highly recommend and compliment Christy Holland, every area of her job responsibilities. Joanne, thank you so much for taking the time and sharing this, right? Because going back to our business model and how important it is for us, right, to help our agents and treat our agents like VIPs, even if it's a $10 a month case or if it's a $10,000 a month case. We want everyone to feel like this, like the slide you're looking at. Top right-hand corner, excellent service. Karen was very knowledgeable and professional. I'm looking forward to a closer working relationship. Linda, thank you. And then on the bottom, we'll wrap up this slide. Thanks so much for being awesome. Michelle, you're the best. Jeff, love to hear that, okay? Please share on our Facebook page, the Levinson Facebook page, our Google review section, any of our social media platforms. Share your review, comments, and we send you a prospecting book on us. Okay? That's simple. Let's keep moving forward. So, like I said, we're super excited. The expo is around the corner. We have a bunch of new technology and platforms we're launching next Friday, and one of them is our website. So we were the first IMO, think about this, to have a brokerage insurance website where you can actually run a quote. I don't know if you remember this far back, but it looked like a slot machine wheel. I mean, it was crazy. But back then, it was so innovative, and we were the first one. So here we are, back again, early 23. We revamped our entire site and mobile app, and again, we are first at bat with about 7 new tools and technology that you will see on our website, but you're going to love what you're about to witness next Friday. I can promise you that. We spent a fortune on this and a ton of time, resources, all the above. And again, it's just built around you to make your life easier. Think about this now. Let's say, for example, you're working on a 1035 rollover, you're looking for a 5-year indexed annuity, whatever it is. We have a search bar, So you put in whatever you're looking for, and then everything comes up that's built around that topic or even a word. Okay, so you don't have to take 10 hours to go through 100 pages of website layers. Everything is right there in front of you. Okay, very simple, easy to use. Next slide. This is what we're so excited about. And obviously, and I said this earlier, we're almost capped out. So make sure you get in that RSVP as soon as possible. Click on the link, go to our website when we're done if you haven't yet, and make sure you get in that RSVP link today. Okay? Because again, the deadline is tomorrow. We're almost there at cap. Excuse me. Okay, real fast. A couple of things I want to point out. So we have 14 of our core carriers that are presenting and helping us sponsor the event next Friday on April 21st. Few things I want to point out. So I was reading this unbelievable book called Relentless, and the author is Tim Grover. Okay, if you want to check it out, I highly encourage you to either go to Amazon Audibles, you can listen to it, or pick up a copy on Amazon, whatever it is. Tim Grover was the life coach for Michael Jordan, for Kobe Bryant, okay, some of the huge NBA superstars. And he wrote his first book, Relentless, and then he wrote his second book called Winning, became New York Times best-selling books in the last 4 years. Think about this. In the last 2 years, he became literally the most in-demand keynote speaker in the world over the last 24 months. He was the keynote speaker for Amazon, Ford, in fact, Mutual of Omaha had him as their keynote. So he's got a special message for all Levinson agents. We're going to launch on next Friday, and we're giving out a copy of his book, Relentless, to everybody that attends, everybody in the audience. And then again, with his special message. But if you don't walk away with any nuggets today, which I know you will, but let's just say you don't, make sure you get a copy of Relentless and Winning. And no matter what business you're in, what you do for a living, what maybe your personal life, whatever it is, if you want to maximize your life on a personal and business side and be the best person you could be with everything you're involved with, you will crush it by reading his book. Okay, I promise you. Obviously, write down your nuggets and you got to put those things in action. But what an awesome story that he has to tell. So check that out when you can. Also, real fast, I'm going to mention a couple of bullets on the right-hand side. Levinson website refresh, I just touched on. So new technology called Chat GPT. You probably heard about it. It was all over the news and Good Morning America. So we have a new version that's tied into Ringy, our follow-up tool, that we're going to talk about and roll out at the expo, also with the auto dialer feature that's pretty cool. We have a networking agent lunch right about noon. First time ever, we invited 5 of our top agents and 1 MGA to speak to all of our agents and talk about their business model and what they do to generate leads and how they network. So you're not just hearing it from us and from the carriers anymore, right? Because how many times did you say to yourself, well, yeah, that sounds great, but they're not in our shoes. Okay, well, now we fix that question, right? Because we're having real live agents and MGA sitting in front of you on stage for almost an hour. And they're going to explain their business model. You'll get a chance to ask them questions as well, kind of like a roundtable discussion. Also, we're launching 4 brand new products from Assurity on Insure Me Now Direct. And then Banner, Legal and General, is now on Insure Me Now Direct. We're in the programming phases now. We're going to launch that officially in about 4 to 8 weeks. But how exciting is this? Banner is the top term life insurance leader in the world, and they're going to be on Insure Me Now Direct, 100% direct to consumer. This is game changing, folks. This is big. This is huge. I am so excited. Think back almost 10 years ago, right? We had one decreasing term product on the platform, but it didn't matter. We were the first and only. In fact, we still are today, where you are full agent of record, plus you get full renewals on the products that apply. So awesome stuff. All right, let's keep moving forward. So real fast, I want to show you what's new at Levinson, and then Doug is going to take the wheel. I know I start ranting a little bit. I apologize, but I absolutely love what we do, right, as an IMO. And anyway, we'll talk more about it next Friday real fast. So, Assurity, we're rolling out the new critical illness, disability, accident, and term life. Every product we're rolling out on Insure Me Now Direct with Assurity has return of premium features, okay? And the term is convertible. Also, every product on Insure Me Now Direct comes with a 1-year scholarship, okay? That's huge on the annuity side, okay? Margaritaville, Jimmy Buffett. Okay, everyone has heard of him, right? We have I believe, a 4-night, 5-day cruise giving away free with $500,000 of fixed indexed annuity premium. Moving along, Corebridge, AIG, 10% IUL bonus. Let's just see. I want to skip around a little bit. We'll include this in the thank you email. Let's move over to the right-hand side. So the Bill Levinson Experience Podcast, Ultimate Agent Training Tool, free training tool. So tomorrow at 11 a.m., I'm sitting down and interviewing Brashard Perryman, okay? Now, you're probably saying, well, Brashard Perryman, that's NFL football, plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's actually the wide receiver for Tom Brady, right, for the past 2 seasons. Tom Brady just retired, so he is and was the wide receiver for Tom Brady, and we're going to talk all about discipline, motivation, inspiration. I want to know like what it took to get Brashard from the point of playing high school ball in South Florida to playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on his 8th year, being a professional, and then working for a guy like Tom Brady, right? I want to hear all about that because yes, it's football, but we can relate that to what we do, right? It's the energy. It's getting up first thing in the morning and doing some kind of exercise, getting in the right mental state to pick up the phone and speak to these consumers or go face to face to a networking meeting. You got to be in the zone, right? Doesn't matter if you're Tom Brady or Bill Levinson. You got to have the mindset day in and day out. We know how that works. Okay, I'm done ranting. Next up, we have our official speaker of today, our regional RVP with Baltimore Life, Mr. Doug Murphy is joining us. Doug, you there?
I am, Bill. Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear. Perfect.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, Bill. Bill makes me feel old anyway. May not sound old. I'm having known Carrie as long as I have. When we started getting back in contact with each other, it does make it sound like I've been in the business for an eternity. It will be 38 years come August. I will have been in the insurance industry. So I started as an agent in 1984. So when you talk about knowing what you're going through and what your job entails, I know that firsthand. I spent many years in the field as an agent and working directly with clients. So I do appreciate Levinson Associates having me on and giving me the opportunity to talk about Baltimore Life today. It has been kind of a whirlwind over the past year or so, and reforming the relationship and getting back with Bill and Carrie and just getting a chance to meet Andrew as well too. But I'm going to try to spend the next 40 minutes. I'm going to try to keep it. I'm going to talk fast. My accent's obviously not from Baltimore. I live in Tennessee, but my office is in Baltimore. But I'm going to talk about 4 products today. And one of the things that I always say is I get to work. I'm the head of all the sales for Baltimore Life on the independent channel, and I get a chance to work with people I want to work with and not work with people that I don't necessarily want to work with. And there's various reasons for that, but you always look for things that we can bring and say, how can we help that organization and those agents grow? And everything I want to talk to you today about is growing your business. It's not taking money from your other great carriers, Mutual of Omaha, or any of the other carriers that you've got. It's really trying to find other opportunities for you to grow and find something else that you can offer to your clients that may be a niche or help you make a sale. And that's all I'm interested in doing, because if you do that, I think you'll show Baltimore Life a lot of times in the presentations that you have. The expo, Carrie Bill sounds fantastic. We didn't get any time to get the contract signed in time to get on this year's expo, but Carrie already has been laying the foundation for us to participate and be a big sponsor next year of the next year's expo. So we want to make sure we get involved with that. One of the things that Bill said too that really caught my interest, and it caught my interest when we first started working in developing whether or not we could contract, and they wanted to contract with us, is that he said that you as the agent are their customer. Well, I would say that we feel exactly the same way. We have end user consumers that we always have to take care of out there, but we know that you and the IMO, you and Levinson Associates are our customer. If we don't satisfy you and make you happy and make your life easier and give you opportunities to be more successful and to help you grow, as I said, then we're not going to get to that end user. You're going to use somebody else another carrier is going to help you do that. So with that said, that's where I'm going to get to talking about the products. I am going to talk quickly. I think there are going to be questions and answers at the end, so feel free to ask me any question at the end if you'd like. But a little history on Baltimore Life. We've been in business since 1882. A little over $1 billion in assets. I think a little over $1 billion is what they consider the difference between a small size and a mid-sized company. So we're a small mid-sized company, I would say. We manufacture and distribute life and annuity products in 49 states and DC, New York being the only state that we don't. We look at it as a niche middle market consumer. We're not, we don't deal a lot with fully underwritten business. Most everything that we do, you're going to find, and the products we're talking about today are simplified issue products. We're dealing with those mom and pops and the type of clients I think that most of you guys are used to dealing with. We're a mutual holding company. Baltimore Life itself is a stock insurance company that's wholly owned by the Baltimore Life Companies, which is a mutual holding company. And therefore, being a mutual holding company, we can offer some participating products. And if you've ever sold a participating product, you know that we can offer dividends on those products. So we do, as being a mutual company, one of the things we do as well too is we retain an independent nature. We don't have to worry about every quarter whether or not we're going to meet earnings and have to do funny things financially to try to meet earnings at the end of each quarter. We're wholly owned by our stockholders, which our stockholders are our own policyholders. We think we do a really good job with our high touch agent services. As I said, you're our customer. We want to make sure you're satisfied. We have a complete agent relations service center that says, if you have to call into the home office to get compensation information or something else that you can't get through the group at Levinson, we want to make sure that you're not going to be have to call 4 or 5 times and go to different departments and get put on hold and leave voicemails and things like that. We want to make sure that we can answer your questions as quickly and as often as we possibly can without having to pass you around to a bunch of other people. We think we've got a really good agent website. We have on-demand training and webinars that's available out on our secure website that you can go out and access at any time you want. During the middle of the night, if you want to get up and get some information on a product or something on a weekend that you want, that's always going to be available to you. And our customer-facing website, as well as the website that you would go to access once you have your agent number and that kind of thing, is baltlife.com. So that's a little bit of history about Balt Life. We're going to immediately start talking about products. I'm going to talk about 4 products today. The first product we're going to talk about is our SilverGuard product. We've had SilverGuard since 2008. I've been at Baltimore Life since 2008. We've had SilverGuard since that time. It's our final expense product that we've had. And in the past, we've really been a true final expense player, but we've operated mostly in a call center environment. We felt like that's the place that we could play best. The call center agents and the agents that were prior to COVID, most of you guys were doing face-to-face types of interviews and sales presentations and things like that. You really weren't interested in the non-face-to-face aspect of it and how good the process was. Most of the call center agents and now face-to-face agents for final expense find our e-app process to be heads above other companies, and I think I'm going to touch on that a little bit later. But with the time frame that we've got, we might have to do that in a separate webinar. But one of the things we have SilverGuard is it's a non-participating. Remember, I said we have both participating and non-participating products. The SilverGuard is non-participating. It doesn't pay dividends. It has guaranteed level premiums and death benefits, guaranteed cash value. We're going to issue this product between ages 50 and 80. It's going to have 2 underwriting classes, standard, which goes through table 4 underwriting, and special, which goes from tables 5 through 8. We have 2 premium classes, tobacco and non-tobacco. The minimum face amount on it is $2,500, and the maximum face amount is $25,000 for standard underwriting and $15,000 for the special underwriting class. Now, I know this, I'm going to go very quickly. Don't feel like you've got to write all this down or remember it or anything like that. I'm going to give you access, or the people at Levinson can help you also get access to the agent guide and that kind of thing, which is going to give you a lot more in-depth information. Some of the features of Silver Guard, it's a life pay for the both standard and the special, and we do offer a 10-pay version of that for clients that want to pay up their final expense policy over a very short period of time, and that's available only on the standard product. We have reduced paid up and extended term insurance as a non-forfeiture options on that. You can get an accidental death benefit option available for the life pay only and the standard underwriting class. And then it's gender-based, both for tobacco and non-tobacco. Premium modes for InSpeed Now, you'll hear a lot about InSpeed Now. That is our underwriting application process. It's our own, we developed it ourselves, our own technology. InSpeed Now is what we utilize for our Silver Guard and some of our other products that we have. We're going to have EFT monthly, semi-annual, and annually. We can EFT all of those modes. If you wanted to EFT an annual payment, we'll do that. Draft dates are the same as most companies there, days 1 through 28. And then we'll also have recently just started Social Security drafting as well for that as well too. We do take paper applications. We don't encourage that. I don't think you guys are big on that either. I wouldn't think in today's day and time, but we realize that you may be in places where there is poor connectivity or a client doesn't have web access to get online or something like that. So we do have paper applications that are available as well too. So one of the things that I saw it highlighted on the original screen that Bill had put up. One of the things people always ask me, what separates final expense from just simplified issue, small face amount whole life? And it's really not. There is no difference. You really got to have a feature that makes it really identify with that final expense market. And if you're in the final expense market, one of the things that I find that really sets us apart, and I'm not familiar with any other company that does it. I'm not saying that there's not, but I just don't know of any. We have a $1,000 cash draft feature in our application. About the second or third page from the back of every application, every policy that you deliver or gets delivered to the client is going to have a perforated sheet in there. It's going to be instructions for the beneficiary to take to any bank or financial institution upon the death of the insured, and it gives them instructions on how to advance $1,000 of the death benefit. It is an advance, so it's taken away from the final death benefit, but it's a $1,000 cash draft feature. You say, well, how is that important to the final expense market? If you've ever been involved with assisting with a family member's death or a client's death or a friend's death, one of the first things that's going to happen when you go to that funeral home, they're going to want a deposit, a down payment, basically, to pick up the body from the home to the funeral home. And a lot of times that can be, especially in the final expense market, that can be fairly disruptive to a family that you may have 3 or 4 siblings. You don't know where the money's going to come from to pay for the funeral. Some siblings may be more financially better off than others. It can kind of make it for an awkward situation at a time where you really don't need to be dealing with awkward situations, especially as it relates to financial situations. So we feel like that $1,000 cash draft feature is critical to the final expense market, and really is applicable to what you're trying to do and make it a true final expense product that fits that client's need, and especially the beneficiary's need. And what a client probably wants, the last thing a client wants to do is have family members arguing over who's going to pay for what, waiting on the death benefit to be paid out. Our death benefits are usually paid out within, if they're non-contestable, within just a very short period of time, probably within the week. But we do want to make sure that we can get that $1,000 into the beneficiary's hands, so they can make sure that the body can be picked up by the funeral home and taken care of. So I think that's important. It is simplified underwriting. So when we say simplified underwriting, we will include the applicant's height and weight. We're going to have the application medical questions. It says here complete medical questions C. If you were looking at a paper app, that would be important to you, but it's really going to be, once you start the e-app, it's going to ask the appropriate questions. It's not going to have them broken down into the specific sections, but answer the medical questions. We'll have a pharmaceutical records database that we're going to tap, and also the medical information, the MIB bureau that a lot of companies utilize as well too. Other than that, there are no paramed exams, no attending physician statements, no blood or urine. So that's going to be critical. And one of the things that we do, I want to go back to that previous slide, because I don't want to get past that, because I'm going to talk about it on the next product as well too. Is we do a pre-app. having spent a lot of time in the field as an agent, one of the things that I don't want to do is I don't want to waste your time. As a company, we don't want to waste your time. If for some reason your client doesn't qualify medically, I want to tell you that as quickly as possible. As a company, we don't want you spending the time to go through and complete bank information, all the underwriting information, and your agent statement and everything else, and then find out after the fact that we're not going to accept the client based off of their medical information or their medical history. What we want to do is to do a pre-app. We started the pre-app about 5 years ago, and this pre-app process, as long as you can get the client's full name, their full street address, and the last 4 digits of their social security number, and if you're sitting there on the screen with them, they can utilize your screen, your device, and give permission for us to tap that pharmaceutical database and the MIB and do that through kind of a DocuSign process. Once that's done, it takes about for you to take the information and us to get the information back is about a 4-minute period of time. It takes typically about 30 seconds for us to get the medical information and the pharmaceutical database information back. So within that time you start the pre-app to get it back, we're going to know within about 4 minutes of whether or not that client should qualify medically or not. And if they don't qualify medically, we're going to tell you that immediately before you start the app. That way, if we're going to give you some indication. Obviously, we can't tell you what the actual impairments are, but we're going to give you some indications as to why we're not going to take it. And that gives you a better reason to be able to go to another company that might be a guaranteed issue company, or another company that may look at that impairment a little differently than we do, and be able to make a sale there. So we want you to we want to save you time, and we want to save you heartache as well too, being able to place that case, if not with us, at least with somebody else. And the benefit to the client there, other than it's helping them from a time standpoint, is that if we tell you in a pre-app that the client doesn't qualify medically for our products, then it doesn't. You can go immediately to another carrier, and they're going to ask the question, "Have you ever been declined for insurance for somebody else?" And they can answer that question honestly, "No, we haven't declined. We haven't started an application yet." This is a pre-app process, so I think that's important. So let's move to our second product, which is I don't call it a final expense product, but it is sometimes written on what I would call the more higher face amount whole life market. This is a priority whole life. It's simplified underwriting. It's almost the exact same underwriting as you're going to find for final expense. It is a permanent participating whole life product. So while SilverGuard was non-participating, this is a participating product. And here's the advantages to that. It's going to provide permanent protection, a level of death benefit that's fully guaranteed. Assume the premiums paid current, obviously. Guaranteed level premiums, life pay and 20 pay options, guaranteed cash and non-forfeiture options, participation in a non-guaranteed annual dividend payment. That goes back to that participating feature that can purchase additional pay-up insurance on the insured. So something there for a participating product that I always try to encourage agents to use. We're going to pay dividend. Really, a dividend is all it is a return of overpaid premium. I think that was legislated and even went to court many years ago as to what dividends on life insurance was. The client's not taxed on those dividends when they're reimbursed to them or paid back to them in any shape, form, or fashion. But that dividend, at the end of a year, we say based on the client's age and what they paid and their face amount, let's say that client gets a $200 dividend back. So we can ask the client with the dividend back in cash, or they want it in some other way. I encourage an agent to use that to buy paid up additions. It's kind of inflation proofing their life insurance. It can say, okay, if you started at a $25,000 policy and you use that $200 paid up the dividend, that may buy, let's say based on the client's age, another $1,000 of paid up life insurance that's added to that $25,000. So it really kind of inflation proofs their life insurance, and really is a good selling tool when you can illustrate that kind of thing as well too. Obviously, the dividends are non-guaranteed, but we have paid dividends every year since inception. We have an accelerated death benefit rider. It's included on all policies in all approved states. And one of the things that may not matter to you, but when you think about it, it could be important in today's day and time to the client. There's no maturity date. The client lives past age 100, which in a lot of cases now you have more and more people doing that. Baltimore Life does not make that policy owner cash in that policy. That can have adverse tax consequences to a client. We will leave that policy in force, and if it's a paid up policy, and pay that policy out as a death claim upon the death of the client. That way, there's no adverse tax consequences back to the client. The minimum face amount for a priority is $25,000, so it kind of butts right up with our Silver Guard product. It is probably the most competitive. If you went out in your quoting systems, it's probably the most competitively priced whole life product, simplified issue whole life product on the market. It's a maximum face amount of $150,000. As I said, the underwriting is very similar, up to $75,000 is final expense. We have a standard class and then a special class there for the specials for tables 5 through 8 risk. 2 premium classes, the tobacco and non-tobacco, just like Silver Guard. For ages 61 to 80, face amounts from $75,001, which is above $75,000, to $150 would require the client to have a paramedic exam, and then there's an additional 2 or 3 questions, I think, on the e-app that they would have to complete as well too. It is male and female rated. Issue ages are based on their current age. Standard issue ages are 0 to 80, and special issue ages are 18 to 80. Obviously, juveniles there would be treated as non-tobacco users for ages 0 to 17. And then the age of the contract obviously would vary by state, according to the state what they look at as a minor. Some of the riders, and don't pay attention to these form numbers, the compliance requires me to put that out there, but really we have the riders that are available on this is a waiver premium rider. If you want to add that, accidental death benefit, you can add a child insurance benefit to that. That is a child insurance benefit, it's not a grandchild rider. Guaranteed insurability benefit, single premium additional insurance rider if you wanted to add that, and non-op VI rider, and then accelerated death benefit rider is automatically added in all of the various states that it's available in, that they allow us to. It's at no charge to the client. So that unless the owner opts out of that, that will be automatically added to each product that in the states it's available in. Now, obviously, there's a lot of riders there. I would encourage you, if the client is premium sensitive, that you keep in mind that obviously the non-op DI rider is going to elongate the underwriting. That's also going to add to the premium and those kind of things. So if your client is premium sensitive, you want to kind of stay away from some of these riders, because they do all except for the accelerated death benefit rider add to the cost of the coverage. Now here's the application process for both our Silver Guard and our A Priority product. You're going to go to, once you get contracted through Levinson Associates there, you'll immediately get back from us. You'll get back a welcome letter telling you how to access the website and different things. Once you get your agent number, you'll be able to access our secure agent website. That's where you'll get information on all your existing policies, all your pending policies, all your trip information that you have out there. Anything that's related to you specifically, you'll be able to access there. Part of that will also be a link that you can't access now, but once you have access to it, you'll be able to go to that link there and be able to complete the e-app process. 3 ways to complete an application. Obviously, the e-app process using InSpeed Now on your connected device. Again, there's that early eligibility using the pre-app InSpeed Now process. You can use a Jet app process using InSpeed Now and then call the call center. If you don't want to do a DocuSign, you can do the e-app and with both the pre-app and the e-app, and you can call the call center and they can get the client's signature by voice over the phone if the client is weary of doing a DocuSign. In very few cases that happens, but that's available to you as well too. And there's the hours for that, and that's also in our agent guide, those hours and things. So don't worry about taking all that information down right now. And then the third way of doing that is the paper application. We mentioned that it's available if you want to do a paper app, or more importantly, if you had to do a paper app because of poor connectivity in an area that you may be in with the client. The bottom part down there is really more if you're taking a paper app. It's not really important because your e-app's going to tell you what you've got to answer based off the client's age and face amount. So that's what we have in the way of what I call products. Our Silver Guard, which is truly in the final expense market. Our A Priority product, which is a really competitively priced participating whole life product, goes up to $150,000 face amount. It's really good for seniors for up to $75,000, and in family, what I'll call a family market, young families that are looking for traditional whole life types of products. So we think both of those products fit well. We're now going to switch gears and move to what I call tax efficient asset transfer. Now, I'm going to assume when I talked to Bill the other day, he said that a fair number of you guys in here write annuities. Whether you do or not, you're going to run across clients that have annuities on themselves or family members. But really, the most important thing is, do they have funds set aside that they're not going to use to live and for daily living expenses? Do they have money in CDs? Do they have money in money markets? Do they have money in non-qualified annuities? Do they have money in IRAs that they're not planning on using to live off of? If so, then we have two products designed to help that. And I'm going to give you, if I've got time, I'm going to give you some ideas on how to uncover those funds, more than I'm going to spend time on the product. One of our single premium whole life is simply that. It's where you've got money that somebody's got in a CD or a bank account or something else that's already been taxed. It says, hey, I've got $5,000 out there, $10,000 out there, $100,000 out there. I'm not going to need it to live off of. You could take that money, do a one-time single premium, and it's going to buy a flat amount of insurance that they'll never have to make another premium payment on. And it's a whole life chassis product. It's not a UL chassis product where they got to worry about interest rates and that kind of thing. The other product is our Generation Legacy. This is a really unique product for us, and there's no other product that I'm aware of it that's exactly like it on the market. There's a couple of companies out there that's tried to come along and do something similar, but hopefully I'll be able to outline how they're different. But the Generation Legacy is a unique product that's designed to get money tax efficiently out of qualified funds or non-qualified annuities and move it into life insurance in a tax efficient manner. So that product we're going to spend a fair amount of time on as well. Here's a one-page document that I can get. Levinson Associate may already have it. Bill and Andrew, those guys may already have it. But to me, it's a one-page document. It's good to have. It's a comparison sheet for the benefits and features. One of the first things I ask is, why would you write single premium whole life over Generation Legacy or vice versa? And I said, really, it's the first thing you want to look at is, where's the single premium source? Where's the money coming from? As I mentioned, for single premium whole life, if it's after-tax money, CD money, money market, 1035 exchanges from old life insurance or something like that, it's probably best going into single premium whole life. If it's annuities or unqualified plans, IRAs or something like that, it's probably best to go into a Generation Legacy, because again, we're trying to minimize and move that money tax efficiently over into life insurance. You can see there's different issue ages there. Issue ages for the single premium whole life is 50 to 85. The Generation Legacy is 60 to 80. You'll see a number of differences down through here. For every difference there is a reason for it. For example, you're working with qualified funds. We don't think somebody can say they're not going to use qualified funds until they reach about the age of 60. So where they're not going to need that money to live off of. The age 80 is the way we structure the policy for the Generation Legacy. It would have to meet the mortality tables, and I'll show you about that in a second. The single premium whole life has two underwriting tables. We'll go all the way up to table 8, underwriting table in the single premium whole life. And we're going to go up to just table 4 on the Generation Legacy. Both of them have point of sale underwriting. Point of sale underwriting is where you're going to take the paper application. They're in the client's house. You're going to, as soon as the application is taken, you're going to call our underwriting call center. They're going to ask the client basically some of the health questions again on the application. They're going to get permission to run, voice permission to do the RX check and the MIB check. And then at the end of that call, they're going to give you, as the agent, approval or non-approval at the end of that time. That call, all told, takes about 8 to 9 minutes. So you're going to know within 8 to 9 minutes whether or not that client is approved over the phone or not. And it says here over 90% point of sale. I will tell you right now, we're over 92% approval. 92% of the applications we get in for these two products, we get an approval back over the phone at that point of sale decision. Both of them have a $5,000 minimum face amount. The next 3 columns there are the partial withdrawals, the loans, accelerated death benefits. That all to me is going towards what I call what if money. What if I need money out of the plan for medical expenses, or what if I need money out of the plan for a new roof or some type of expense that they were unprepared for. That's all providing liquidity options available for them there. I'm not going to get into all of them for the time I'm not going to get in the weeds today on that. If we had a separate time to go over these products in particular, I could do that more thoroughly. But the main thing there is that there is differences in the accelerated death benefit option. If I've got some time in a minute, I'll tell you why those are different, how they're really going to provide the same amount of money to the client the way they're structured, but the percentages are different based off of the single premium whole life or the generation legacy. The maximum face amount for the single premium whole life, we're going to use what we call net amount at risk. Currently, we're ages 50 to 80. We're going to go up to a $250,000 net amount at risk. That means how much are we going to, if the client gave us $100,000 in premium, we're not going to go more than $350,000 of death benefit. So in our terminology for this product, net amount at risk is the amount over the premium paid. And you can see that drops down to 150 for ages 81 to 85. And then level 2 is a little drop down as well too. So keep in mind, we're looking at net amount at risk there. The software that we use, the iPipeline software, doesn't allow you to illustrate something that you shouldn't be able to over and above that. I will tell you that based off the current interest rate environment that we're in, that we will, if you've got a client that exceeds these guidelines, that we will entertain some possibilities with that. If you want to send that in through Bill or Andrew or somebody there at Levinson that you work with and say, hey, I've got a client that's got $750,000 of death benefit. They'd like to buy the single premium whole life with Baltimore Life. Can you kind of run that by them and see what we can do and take that? I think we're more inclined to do that now than we may have been a couple of years ago when the interest rate environment wasn't conducive for that. On the generation legacy side, it's the same thing. And you're going to see in a second how this works. But when you take an application for generation legacy, you're actually going to take an annuity application along with a application for a 7-pay or a 10-pay whole life application. That can go up to $450,000 death benefit. Now, again, I'll go back to what I just said before. If you have something that exceeds that, we're willing to entertain. If you want to send that through Levinson Associates and let them send it on up to us, we can get that back to you very quickly at whether or not how much we could take and what the death benefit was and things like that. But right now, you can only illustrate up to $450,000 of death benefit on the generation legacy. And the next slide will illustrate this for you perfectly, but the death benefit for the SPWL is just going to be the face amount of the single premium whole life policy, whereas the death benefit for the generation legacy is going to be a combination of the whole life policy and any remaining premium payment or payments from that SPIA. Now we're done with the single premium whole life. It really is just a generic, you give us a lump sum of money, we're going to provide a death benefit to the client along with the other benefits and options and things that you have that's seen available there. I think the generation legacy is unique enough that I want to outline something here for you. Here's an existing client. I think it's pretty similar to what we have as an existing client. And I think it's probably one, if you're in the annuity market, that's probably a pretty typical client as well too. It's a female, age 70. She's non-tobacco. Even if you're not in the annuity market, think of clients that you run across every day with your other products that you might be marketing and have out there as clients that fits this market as well too. This client has a $50,000 non-qualified annuity, just any generic annuity, whatever it may be. She has a cost basis of $40,000, which means she put $40,000 of cash into it in the past. It's now grown to 50. She says, hey, Bill, I don't need that to live off of. I just want to leave that. I got it out there kind of as what if money in case I need it for medical, medical necessity or something I don't want my kids having to take care of, or in case I need, a major home repair or car repair or something. I've just got that kind of sitting there. But if I don't need it and I die, I'm just going to leave it to my heirs. So now, as opposed to a potential annuity rollover, an additional annuity sale, we may have a good opportunity to talk to her about a generation legacy. So what we could do there is we could 1035 exchange. You can't 1035 annuities into life insurance, but you can 1035 an annuity into an annuity. So we're going to 1035 exchange her annuity, her current annuity she has there, into our SPIA. Remember I told you that you're going to deliver a SPIA policy as well as a 7 or 10 pay life policy. If the client is between the ages of 60 and 74, it's a 10 pay policy. If the client is 75 to 80, it's a 7-pay policy. So we're going to 1035 exchange, tax-free exchange, and we're going to get that into our SPIA. You see there at age 71, the single premium is $50,000. So we have now replaced and 1035 exchange the money out of her SPIA. or out of her annuity, and we have it in our SPIA. That SPIA is going to have a payout of principal and interest over the next 10 years, every year of $5,570. So just follow that $5,570 and look at that as an annual premium payment for a whole life policy. And that whole life policy that she's purchasing for the right-hand side over there is $78,451. That policy is a 10-pay life policy. At the end of 10 years, it'll be fully paid up for the rest of her life. She'll never pay any more on it. So it's a fully paid up policy that is tax-free death benefit to the beneficiary. What she will do is offer that based off of the $40,000 of cost basis there. Her exclusion ratio says it's at 71.8%, and our software will calculate this for you. It says out of that $5,570 of premium, that SPIA payment every year, $3,999 and change is going to be excluded from tax. Every year she would get an estimated 1099 for $1,570.74. That's how much she's going to get a 1099 for. Now, what we've done there is, as opposed to her paying tax on that all up front and being able to use what was left to buy life insurance, we've used the full $50,000. We're trying to spread her tax liability out over a 10-year period. It maximizes the amount of death benefit she can buy. It also maximizes the amount of premium you're using on which to get paid on. So it's beneficial to the client and beneficial to you to do that. Plus, we're trying to spread that, by the concept, we're trying to spread that tax liability out. And in some cases, if she doesn't have much other income, she may not end up paying any income tax on that $1,570 if her other income tax is low, other income as well. So $1,570 is typically not going to put somebody into a higher tax bracket, but she's going to get a 1099 every year for the next 10 years until that SPIA is liquidated. Now, how does that benefit the client? One, if the client dies, the beneficiary is going to receive that $78,451, but they're also going to receive what's left in that SPIA. So you see the second from right-hand column there is showing you what's the SPIA benefit at death. That's the cumulative amount. The client could continue to receive, if they wanted to, or the beneficiary could continue to receive the $5,570 every year, and they would pay tax on that. Or they could commute that product in this. If the client died in the third year, they could get a commuted lump sum there of $33,850 in addition to the $78,451 they get tax free. So let's take that same benefit, that same client, and say this female 70, instead of having a non-qualified annuity, she has an IRA, the complete opposite of what she's got here. Everything will stay the same. That $50,000 IRA would come down with 1035 exchanging into our SPIA. The SPIA payout is still $5,570. The whole life benefit is still $78,451, and the SPIA benefit payable at death, that column remains the same as well. The only column that would change in that scenario would be the excluded amount and the estimated taxable amount. Obviously, if it was an IRA, nothing would be excludable because she's never paid any tax on any of it to start with. So every year she would get a 1099 of $5,570 every year for 10 years. Now you say, what's the benefit there? Well, would she rather pay tax on $50 up front and in addition to her other income, and then use what's left to buy life insurance, or would $5,570 1099 every year be more palatable for her and be able to for her to maximize the amount of insurance she buys and minimize her tax over that period of time? So we feel like that's the best option. I gave you two contrasting. Obviously, one's fully taxable, and the other one is just with just about $10,000 of taxable tax in it. But that's the concept behind it. I think it's beneficial to clients out there that have annuities. The people say, "What's your typical client? If you were to say, what's a typical client that might be beneficial to?" And I say, if somebody's taking RMDs, now has got to be 73 years of age. They're telling you, I probably retired at 65. It's been 8 years or so since I retired. I've got this money sitting aside. It's in an IRA. I'm not using it to live off of. Now the government's requiring me to start taking RMDs. They're telling you they're not planning to use off of it, and the government's requiring them to start doing it. If you work with clients that are taking RMDs, or going to have to start taking RMDs out of their products, this is a great product to talk to them about. And then we'll go back and point on that 90% point of sale decision right there. I can't illustrate that enough to you. We want to make sure before you leave that client's house that you're not wasting your time. You're still there. The client's still in the buying decision, and that they're in a buying mood, and that you can pivot to another carrier if they don't like the the generation legacy or the single premium whole life, or for some reason we wouldn't take them medically. Now, I promised you I'd quickly go through where we've had other agents find these clients. So this is some things that's worked well for other agents. Annuities not needed for daily living. Whether or not you sell annuities, I mentioned before, always going to have in your clients that they have annuities. If they do, find out if they're qualified or not. Find out as much information as you can. Come back in and give the guys at Levinson a call. They can help you walk through what's the best scenario for that. The generation legacy or perhaps a single premium whole life would be beneficial. Something that's always there. You never want to get a client in a conversation about a yes or no answer. I always like to say, hey, do you have any leave behind money, Bill? Well, Bill knows what I'm talking about because we had this conversation, but a typical client's not going to know what you mean. So they're going to say, well, what do you mean, Doug, by leave behind money? And I could say, well, Bill, if you got any money at all set aside, it's either one of two things. It's either live on money or leave behind money. If it's leave behind money, then it's perhaps a conversation to have for one of these products. 1035 exchanges of older paid up policies. A lot of these seniors, these older age seniors, they bought policies when they were really young. Their family bought them on it. They're probably 10 pay life policies, 20 pay life policies that have small face amounts. And most of them, because of the mortality tables and things, that have a fairly significant amount of cash value when you add them up. Universal Life Rescue. I started in the insurance business in 1984. We were selling a ton of Universal Life back then at very high interest rates. Get in the habit of asking clients about, do they have cash Universal Lives that were maybe sold inappropriately based off the current interest rate environment and the tax laws now, that maybe they're seeing their cash value deplete more and more each year, that they're looking for a place to park that cash value, see that cash value start to go back up, and then maintain a death benefit for the rest of their life. Burial account. Quickly, I took my mom, when we brought these products out in 2007, 2008. I took my mom's $10,000 CD she had set aside for final expenses. I took $6,000 of that and was able to buy a $10,000 paid up single premium whole life policy. I took $7,000 of my dad's CD and brought a $10,000 paid up policy. They both have $10,000 now tax free to my brother and I for their final expenses, which is what they wanted. And I saved them a total of about $13,000 between the two of them. Accelerated death benefit rider. I think it's, the accelerated death benefit rider is not long-term care, but it does accelerate that based off of whether or not a client has long-term care issues. So they can accelerate the death benefit to pay long-term care expenses if they choose to. They don't have to, but that's to help that client that maybe you've talked to that client out there that for about long-term care, it's too expensive. They've not really done anything with long-term care. Now you're talking to them about life insurance. Now they don't know what to do. They kind of sit on the fence. And this is to kind of help them get over that hump and get off the fence and provide a benefit to them in case they did have those long-term care types of costs. Just a few other things. Reduce 99 exposure to your income tax and Social Security. We don't use that very often, or especially very often in business. But if you work with business owners, can potentially reduce tax liability and corporate retained earnings, help finance an employer's obligation under a non-qualified deferred comp plan, or use as a vehicle for after-tax employee contributions. And then the last slide is obviously all your production. If it's a continuous pay product, it's dollar for dollar. $75,000 in net conference credits qualifies you and an adult guest to go with us. Every year we try to do these all-inclusives as often as we can every year at really nice properties. So next year, what's from January 1st of this year through December 31st, at the end of the year, $75,000 in net conference credit. If it's single premium, generation legacy, or single premium whole life, it's 10 to 1, so it takes $750,000 for that, or a combination of that plus dollar for dollar for the continuous pay products would qualify you and a guest to do that. So we would love to host you. They're great conferences. We don't have any meetings associated with that. We have an opening night reception and a going away gala the night before we leave. Other than that, you qualified for the trip and we want you to have a great time. If you want to talk business, we do that, but we don't make you do that if you don't want to. And obviously we want to keep you in meetings while you're there as well too on a great property. So Bill, Andrew, with that, I'm finished. I know I've talked quickly and I'm a little past 4, but I've tried to get it in as quickly as I can in cognizance of everybody's time. But I've got any questions that you might have as well.
Yeah, Doug, that was great, spot on. What we're going to do, just because we're running real behind, we're going to have to set up a part two. So I have a few slides. I'm going to keep everybody for about 3-4 more minutes, I promise, and get everyone out, and then I'll announce the winner as well. Doug, and we'll circle back after the call, and we'll get all these questions answered as well as soon as we hang up. Let's jump right in here. So if we can go to the first slide, and like I said, give me 3 minutes and we will be wrapped up. But I want to mention some real important stuff to help you market in general across the board, all products. So to get started, we're going to include, like I said, everything in the thank you email, all of the brochures, marketing material, right side, and then of course contracting. And if you're already appointed with another IMO or upline, obviously transfer over to Levinson. We do cash for contracting or leads for contracting with your first paid app. Plus, most of the time, beat the commission. Worst case, match the comp. So let's keep moving along. So what we did here, we have a quick slide on other niche carriers and products that Levinson offers as a direct contract to you all. I'm not going to get into each bullet right now, but we'll include this slide in the thank you email. Next up is Insure Me Now Direct, that everybody should be out there marketing. It's free. We just added the 4 new Assurity products. We are off to the races, over 25 products now. And then as you can see on the top right-hand corner, Legal and General banner is in the works right now with programming. It'll be launched in about 4 to 8 weeks. So we're super excited about that, as you can imagine. The next slide is Ringy. This is the ultimate follow-up tool I hope you're using. And if you're not, we have a 2-week free trial, which literally you're not tied in every month to a fee. If you don't like it, you literally turn it off. If you do, you can get 30% off each month, which brings it down to $69.99 a month. But if for anyone in sales, period, this is like an automated follow-up live person, okay? But literally goes through texting, emailing, phone calls to every single prospect in your database until they become your client. I'm telling you, it's amazing. We use it for agent leads, mainly through social media. So I hope you're doing the same. Next up, I promised every agent of ours that every single week I was going to pull up the top performing life insurance social media ads or posts. Okay, just to give you some ideas. I always say you don't have to go out and reinvent the wheel, just change a few spokes, right? So what we're looking at in front of you is literally a wheel on the right side. I thought this was a cute little example, right, to create sizzle, likes, and comments, which ultimately lead to new clients and consumers. So this is the no life insurance wheel. And basically what she's doing is just giving examples in what happens if you don't have life insurance. It's an eye opener. So again, no brainer. Let's move over to the left side. I love this one. And what this person is explaining, right, to the prospecting bucket is, look at all the money you're spending on insurance with your car, right? 30,000, your home, 150,000, even jewelry at 10,000. Look what you're investing in your family. 0. Hello, that should open your eyes as a consumer to, I better protect my family and buy a life insurance policy, right? Let's go to the next slide here. So on the right-hand side, this was literally the top performing final expense post. And very simple, right? Right-hand side picture there. Life insurance isn't about the odds, it's about the stakes. Safeguard your family's future no matter what life brings. This guy had 400 likes and 48 comments. Those 48 comments are equivalent to 48 new leads for free. This was an Instagram post. Hello? I just want you all to see how important it is to get the message out. Let's move over to the left side. Okay, we all have heard this one before, but that's okay. This guy is just bringing it back to the surface. I can't afford it. Did you know that you can pay less per day for a life insurance policy than you do for a daily cup of Starbucks? Okay, and that's the truth. We all know how that works. But again, this creates likes, comments, and ultimately leads, branding, and marketing. And all this stuff is free. So there's no reason or excuse you shouldn't be doing the same thing. Let's keep moving along. Okay, real fast. The podcast, left-hand side, that's Amir, our social media guru, SEO, paid ads. If you want to start generating your own leads on Facebook, he's a great resource. I interviewed him for an hour. Then on the right side, that's Tom Brady's wide receiver, Brashard Perryman. I'm interviewing him for an hour tomorrow morning, and then we'll launch it out hopefully by the weekend or Monday latest. Okay, let's keep moving. I want to have our question of the day. I know I'm so late, and I apologize, but I thought this was great info. I didn't want to cut Doug short. We definitely are going to have a part two with Baltimore Life because there's a lot of nuggets there that I think we can dive a little deeper into. Okay, these are our future trainings. Obviously, Agency Automator, CRM, Virtual Assistant, the free website. Those are every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday with Kevin, our programmer. And then on the bottom in blue, that's always our live weekly training of the following week. As you know, we're skipping next week, but here's the great news. The next few weeks after, what we're going to do for all of those that can't make the expo, we're going to have 2 hours of expo presentations. So all of the carrier presentations will wrap up under one roof, and we'll show everyone what they missed on those webinars. So that's to come. You will see an email invite posted for that as well. And our last slide in our giveaway, and I hope you were paying attention. Why? Because I'm going to start with my positive Tuesday quote. We all want the gold status, right? Okay, what does it take to get there? Be brave enough to fail terribly at something new. Okay? What does that mean? It means go out, try Ringy, try Facebook, right? Try one of these ads, get your message out, start a YouTube channel, and get creative. Call Long-Term Care Friday, Disability Income Tuesday, right? IUL Retirement Planning Wednesday, whatever it is. We're all in sales. You got to get creative, get the message out, build your name and brand. And if you fail with one platform, who cares? It's free. You move to the next platform, try something else. Let's end with this. Our question of the day. I hope your little fingers are on your keyboard because I'm going to move quick. And this is a tough answer because it's a 3-part answer. So one question, it's a 3-part answer. Question is, hope everyone's focused, paying attention, present in the moment. Okay, enough of the rant. Let's jump in. Question is, I mentioned the New York Times best-selling author. Okay, he had a personal message that I'm going to play during our expo to all of the attendees. Tell me his name and the 2 books that he wrote that were both New York Times bestsellers. Okay, tell me the author's name and the 2 books, and you win Apple AirPods Fire 8 HD tablet. Okay, whoever's first and correct wins the prize. I'll give you a little hint. This was Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant's life coach. Okay, man is incredible. Best keynote speaker today, period. You tell me his name and the 2 books, and you win. Andrew's going to tell us who walks away with both prizes. Andrew?
Okay, first correct is Dwayne O. Dwayne O.
Dwayne O. The answer was Tim Grover. The 2 books, Winning and Relentless. Be at the expo. You get a copy of Relentless, and you get to hear him speak to all of the Levinson agents at the expo. Cannot wait for next Friday. Let's have a great rest of the day, great weekend. Hope to see you next week, and keep your eyes peeled for the thank you email. Take care, and thanks again.